Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone today to the Srimad Bhagavatamrita. And in this session, we'll have 4 chapters, 6, 7, 8, 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatu Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachitupasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Vakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Matamidam Tatra Dharana Paraha Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we will discuss the participants of the quiz that were given yesterday. We'd like to thank on Facebook Ranjani Gopika Mataji, Barsana Chitra Mataji, Gita Varadarajan Mataji, and Anjani Mohini Gopika Mataji. We don't have a YouTube link, unfortunately, because of the network situation, which could continue for another couple of days or maybe less. But we'll be back on YouTube soon. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for continuing to hear and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we will discuss about the chapter 6, 7, 8, 9. Chapter 6, Yadu Dynasty retires to Prabhāsa. And this chapter actually describes how Brahma, all the other demigods, they were offering prayers to Lord Kṛṣṇa, how they requested the Lord to return to his abode, how Uddhava anticipating this separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he became very distressed. And he prayed to Sri Krishna, please, can I accompany you on your return to the abode? Anyway, so this is the gist of the chapter. So what happens in the beginning is that all the devatas, the demigods, the Gandharvas, Apsaras, Naga, Rishis, Pitas, Vidyadhara, Kinnara, all these different categories of demigods, all headed by Brahma, Shiva, Indra, everyone arrived at this city of Dwarka because they wanted to see Krishna in his original human-like form, which enchants everyone. And then they actually brought flowers, flower garlands, which were made of flowers from the Nanda Kanana, the Nandana gardens of heaven. And they covered Krishna's body with all these wonderful, beautiful, fragrant garlands. They praised him about his transcendental power, all qualities. And all of them, Brahma, everyone, they started praising that we are subordinate to you. Krishna, you create the universe, you empower your expansion, Mahavishnu. Although you create, you maintain, you destroy this world through this material energy, you still remain completely transcendental to this material energy, and you're perfectly self-satisfied. Even in the midst of your 16,000 queens, you are completely satisfied. You're not distracted or disturbed. And then they started giving these beautiful prayers of glorification, Krishna, that there are some who perform fruitive sacrifices. There are some who are yogis. They desire mystic power. Both of them, they contemplate on your lotus feet to attain these materialistic objectives. But those who are great devotees of the Lord, those who are most elevated, who desire liberation from the bondage of material work, they contemplate on your lotus feet very lovingly. Not because they want anything material, because anything for sense gratification, but they meditate on the lotus feet because they want to destroy all the desires for sense gratification. And so then it says in text 9, Shuddhir nrinam natu tathedya durashayanam Vidya shruta dhyayana dana tapa kriyabhi Sattvatmanam rishabhaye te yashasi pravriddha Sat shraddhaya shravanasam Bhritaya yathasyat. O greatest of all those whose consciousness is polluted by illusion cannot purify themselves merely by ordinary worship, study of the Vedas, charity, austerity, and ritual activities. Our Lord, those pure souls who have developed a powerful, transcendental faith in your glories, achieve a purified state of existence that can never be attained by those lacking such faith. So faith, transcendental faith, is so important to Krishna. That's when we can achieve a purified existence. The faith that ultimately Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati. One who has this faith that Krishna is the enjoyer. We are not the enjoyers. We are just the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the controller of all controllers. We are not the controller. We are very, very insignificant. When we understand that, then we can forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we make because we are not perfect. We are not controllers. Misery comes when we think we are the controllers, where we are actually not. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. And then understanding Kṛṣṇa is our real well-wisher. So whatever Kṛṣṇa will do will be for our benefit. Whether good, whether bad. Let us be equipoised. Sukheshu anudvignamana, dukheshu vigataspriha. Bhagavad Gita, Kṛṣṇa says, because that person has developed a deep relationship with me, with Kṛṣṇa. So any sukheshu, any great happiness that comes, he is anudvignamana. He's not disturbed by that. He's not too much elated. Dukheshu vigataspriha. In suffering, he's not disturbed so much. These things will keep coming more and more, again and again. But we have to overcome this by developing a deep relationship with Kṛṣṇa and understand what really matters is not these waves of happiness and distress. What really matters is our love for Kṛṣṇa, is whether we will be able to remember Kṛṣṇa at the time of death. This is what is more important. Are we utilizing this human form of life? And then in that sense, be grateful for whatever is given. Grateful, meaning I got a deal. Gratefulness is similar to the emotion that we feel when we go to Walmart or we go to a store and then we get a discount. We get a deal. Wow! We're like, I got a deal, I got a discount. Why are we happy? Because actually I didn't deserve it. I went there, something was for, 1,000 rupees, but I got it for 500 rupees. So I didn't deserve it to get for 500 rupees, but I still got it. That's a deal. So when we are grateful, we are thinking, whatever Kṛṣṇa is giving, that's a deal, because I really don't deserve it. And we be grateful for things that we have, and we develop a positive relationship with Kṛṣṇa based on that gratefulness. And when there is distress that comes, we still continue to have that relationship. This is for my best. Actually, I deserved worse. But Kṛṣṇa is giving just a token for my purification. And look, what I still have, what Kṛṣṇa has still given, that is his gift. Let me be grateful and not take it for granted. Then we develop a deep relationship with Kṛṣṇa, and all these other things don't matter. Text 12 says that, O Almighty Lord, again the Devatas are glorifying Kṛṣṇa. You are so kind to your servants that you have accepted the withered flower garland that we have placed on your chest. Now they brought a flower garland from the Nandana Kanana gardens of the heaven. Fragrant flowers. And Devatas are so humble. They are saying, you are so kind that you accepted this withered flower garland. So what to consider about our garland? And then they're saying, since the goddess of fortune makes her abode on your transcendental chest, she will undoubtedly become agitated, like a jealous co-wife upon seeing our offering also dwelling there. Yet you are so merciful that you neglect your eternal consort Lakshmi and accept our offering as most excellent worship. O merciful Lord, may your lotus feet act as a blazing fire to consume the inauspicious desires within our hearts. May your lotus feet bestow transcendental pleasure upon us. And all of these great Devatas, they said, struggling painfully with one another, under the strict control of your time factor, they are just like bulls dragged by ropes tied through their pierced noses. As we see how bulls are dragged, and because it hurts, so they just follow wherever the rope goes. And if they struggle, if they stop, it hurts. That's how they're saying Brahma and all the other living entities are like that. Time factor is the rope. But what is a relief is the nectar-bearing rivers of discussions about you, and the holy rivers generated from the bathing of your lotus feet are able to destroy all contamination within the three worlds. Those who are striving for purification associate with the holy narrations of your glories. By hearing them with their ears, they associate with the holy rivers flowing from your lotus feet by physically bathing. So then, text 21, ultimately Lord Brahma concludes the prayers by saying that we had come previously to you to remove the burden of earth, of Kamsa's atrocities and his all the other friends' atrocities, and that request is now fulfilled. You've done that. You had come for paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkritam. You had come to establish the principles of religion, dharma sansthapanarthaya. You have done that. You have saved the pious. You have also distributed your glories to the whole world. And now you have performed so many pastimes that the whole world can keep glorifying you and hearing about you. For the benefit of the entire universe, you have executed this, and everyone who hears will cross over this darkness of the next stage which is coming, which is Kali Yuga. He said that, text 25, very interesting. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O my Lord, you have descended into the Yadu dynasty, and thus you have spent 125 autumns with your devotees. Here it's revealed the age of Kṛṣṇa in terms of his appearance within this material world. 125 autumns he had spent. Now, my dear Lord, finally, Brahma says, there is nothing remaining at this time for your Lordship to do on behalf of the demigods. On behalf of us, there is nothing. If you want to stay, you're welcome. You've already, your dynasty is cursed by the Brahmanas by your arrangement. You are the basis of everything, and so if you so desire, please kindly return now to your own abode in the spiritual world. At the same time, we humbly beg, please protect us. We are your humble servants. On your behalf, we are managing this universal situations. So along with our planets and followers, we require your constant protection. Look, they are also, even the Devatas are asking, give us constant protection. This is a sign of devotion. Trahimam, Kṛṣṇa, please protect me, save me, help me. We should not feel shy to ask for Kṛṣṇa's protection. Now, how he protects, how he provides the protection is up to him. But we should always be happy to ask for protection. Then the Lord said, well, Brahma, I understand your prayers, I understand your request. I know you are saying if you so desire, you can return back. Now I've removed the burden of the earth. I've executed everything that you have said. This is such a humility of the Lord. I came because you all asked, and now you don't need me. I'm good. Thank you. I've executed everything that you requested on your behalf. As if the Lord is their order carrier. He's saying like that. And he said, that very Yadava dynasty in which I appeared, text 29, became greatly magnified in opulence, especially in their physical strength and courage, to the extent that they threatened to devour the whole world. Therefore, I have stopped them by the Brahmana's curse, just as the shore holds back the great ocean. There is ocean, so many waves are coming, and then it hits the shore, goes back. It doesn't overflow the shores. But if I were to leave this world without withdrawing the overly proud members of the Yadu dynasty, the whole world would be destroyed by the deluge of their unlimited expansion. See, Kṛṣṇa sometimes, even his own dynasty, if it is going against his mission and they become proud, he removes them as well. his devotees, if they become proud, Kṛṣṇa, by his mercy, changes their situation. Because Kṛṣṇa does not want their achievements. Kṛṣṇa is not interested in Yadavas conquering the whole world, which they could. Kṛṣṇa is more interested in the devotee individually. I'm interested in you. I'm not interested in your achievements. I want to save you. Your achievements were, I was making you as an instrument. But you are more important to me than your achievements. That is what Kṛṣṇa means when he tries to destroy, he destroys the pride of his devotees. Now, due to the Brahmana's curse, the annihilation has begun. So when this annihilation is finished and I am en route to Vaikuntha, Brahma, I will pay a visit to your abode. Kṛṣṇa is telling Brahma, be prepared, I'm going to come and visit. And then Brahma fell down in the obeisances to the Lord at his lotus feet. All the demigods and Brahmaji, they then returned to his personal abode. Then Lord Kṛṣṇa, he saw terrible disturbances everywhere. It was indicating that the destruction of the world is near. So he got the wise members of the Yadu dynasty together and reminded them of Brahmana's curse. And he said, look, this is imminent. This Brahmana has cursed. We will be destroyed. I suggest that you go to Prabhāsa Kshetra, Prabhāsa Tirtha. Text 36. Why he says go to Prabhāsa Kshetra? Kṛṣṇa says in text 36, once the moon was afflicted with consumption because of the curse of Daksha. But just by taking bath at Prabhāsa Kshetra, the moon was immediately freed from his sinful reaction and again resumed the waxing of his phases. By bathing at Prabhāsa Kshetra, by offering sacrifice there to placate the forefathers and demigods, by feeding the worshipable Brahmanas with various delicious foodstuffs, and by bestowing opulent gifts upon them as the most suitable candidates for charity, we will certainly cross over these terrible dangers through such acts of charity, just as one can cross over a great ocean in a suitable boat. So this pastime, what happened? Why was the moon afflicted with the consumption of this curse of Daksha? What happened at Prabhāsa Kshetra? What is the meaning of Prabhāsa Kshetra? This is very, very significant. This story that Kṛṣṇa has just alluded in one verse, saying that Chandra had his effulgence removed, comes in Prabhāsa Khanda of Skanda Purana and also in Shiva Purana. Actually, Prajapati Daksha, he married his 27 daughters to Chandra, to moon. And Chandra took care of everyone, but he especially took great care of one of his queens, one of the daughters of Prajapati Daksha, Rohini Nakshatra. And all the other queens were disturbed by this because they were feeling neglected. And Chandra was so enamored by Rohini that he wouldn't care for them. He would neglect them. So they complained to Daksha, Prajapati Daksha. And Prajapati Daksha came and said, Chandra, you're neglecting my other daughters. Just Rohini, what is this? And Chandra was so smitten by Rohini that he continued. Prajapati Daksha warned him thrice. And then still Chandra did not change his behavior. Then Prajapati Daksha came and he cursed Chandra. He cursed the moon god to lose your effulgence. As soon as that happened, there was a great calamity in the universe. Because you know what? The rays of the moon is the source of the juice in fruits and vegetables. All the herbs and trees and fruits and vegetables, they were getting dry. And so all the devatas, they went to Brahma. What should we do? What should we do? Chandra, look at Chandra. There's no effulgence. All of us we are not able to manage this universe on behalf of the Lord. So Brahma said, I'll tell you one thing. Go to this place called Prabhāsa Kshetra and perform austerities there to please Lord Shiva. So all the devatas went. They made a Shiva Linga. They worshipped with water of river Saraswati. And then Chandra, moon, performed penances for 6 months to please Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva appeared, awarded him boon. Every day you will reduce by a digit for 15 days and then again rise for the next 15 days. The waxing and the waning of the moons continued and the order in the universe was restored. And then all the devatas requested Lord Shiva, please stay back in this Prabhāsa Kshetra, in this as this Shivaling. So it became a Jyotirmaya Ling. Lord Shiva stayed back, and that place is called Soma Nath. Soma means moon, Nath means Lord, Lord of the moon, which is none other than Lord Shiva in this case, who bestowed his effulgence back. So it's a very, very auspicious place. And so Krishna asked Yadavas to go to Prabhāsa Kshetra, which was very near Dwarka. It is in Saurashtra, in Gujarat. So it's walking distance, kind of. I mean, from the earlier standards. And so then Chandra, he established Someshwar Kunda. And there it is said, anyone who takes a dip every day for 6 months in Someshwar Kunda will never have any disease. He will be free from all diseases. And Chandra, he built a Somnath temple made up of gold. Then Ravana, in Treta Yuga, he made a Somnath temple made up of silver. And Kṛṣṇa, in Dwapar Yuga, he made the Somnath temple made up of sandalwood. And in Kali Yuga, King Vikramaditya, he made the current made up of stone, the Somnath temple. And then it was attacked by the Mughals in so many different ways, but it's still standing, it's still there. So anyway, this was one verse that Krishna says about go to Prabhāsa Kshetra. Why? Because that's where one time Chandra also got his effulgence back. So after that, when the Yadavas were leaving, Uddhava approached Krishna. Krishna, what did I just hear? You are like asking everyone to go? Does it mean that you are going to end your pastimes? He said, I cannot tolerate separation. I fold my hands. He paid obeisances. He begged, please take me to your own abode as well. I cannot be here without you. So then Krishna actually told him, Uddhava started glorifying that, I'm so attracted to you, I'm just addicted to you. Because if one tastes the nectar of Krishna's pastimes with his ears, one loses hankering for all other things. And therefore, those who are constantly engaging in Krishna's service while eating, while sleeping, while sporting, while sitting, they cannot tolerate separation from Krishna. They honor all kinds of remnants from Krishna and conquer the Lord's illusionary energy. Those who are peaceful members of the renounced order, they attain Brahmaloka after a lot of exertion. But devotees simply discuss Lord Krishna amongst themselves, they chant, they remember, and thus automatically cross beyond this insurmountable material energy. This ends chapter 6. We come to chapter 7. Lord Krishna instructs Uddhava. So after hearing Uddhava's request prayerfully, please take me back to the spiritual world, Krishna informed him that yes, I am interested in returning to my own abode because my purpose is complete. I'm successful in my endeavors and it's fulfilled. And Kali Yuga, is returning, is coming soon. So, I advise you, Uddhava, Kṛṣṇa says, that you take sannyas. You take sannyas, you fix up your mind upon me, Kṛṣṇa, and then establish yourself in theoretical and realized knowledge. Then he said, just stay untouched by any contamination or impurity and be compassionate to everyone. And go wander around this world. Don't be attached to one place. Wander. Because this world is ultimately the combined manifestation of Lord's illusory energy and the imagination of the living entities. Lord's illusion and the illusion of the living entities, both combination. We just imagine one time when Maharaj was saying in his class that what are freeways? In US there are freeways. India also we have highways, big ones. And there are lanes in the freeways. Those lanes are nothing but some paint on the road. But actually those freeways and highways, they reside in people's mind. Those lanes reside in people's mind. They don't reside in actuality on the road. It's when we are driving, in our mind we're saying, oh, I should not change the lane, or I should stay in my lane. Right? That's in our mind. If our mind says, oh, so what? There's just some paint here. Then we can keep changing the lane. But we don't, because in our mind, if I change the lane, there'll be an accident. I should gracefully change it or whatever. This is all in the mind. The lanes are in the mind. It's the imagination. So this material world is illusory energy of the Lord, and then we manipulate the illusory energy of the Lord in our imagination. What is MS Word? What is this phone things that are doing? We are seeing these images are nothing but 010101. If you distill it down to its basics, it's just in our mind. It's the Lord, the raw material is the Lord's illusory energy, and we put our imagination on top of it and make it into different things and call it creativity. Real creativity is to serve the creative person, the creator. That's creativity. Then Uddhava understood. He followed the instructions of Kṛṣṇa. But he said, I will renounce this material world. But the spirit of detachment without being your devotee is very difficult, because people are generally very attached. So please give me some instruction in such a way that the foolish persons who misidentify the body as the self, they can be convinced to carry out their duties by your order. In fact, even the great devotees like Brahma, Uddhava is saying, even they are not completely surrendered to the Lord. But I have taken shelter of the Lord, Lord Narayan, the all-perfect, all-knowing Master. So the Lord replied, okay, you are asking for some instructions on, because I have asked you to be renounced, take sannyas. You're asking, how can I actually maintain my sannyas? So he said, Supreme Lord replied, text 19, those human beings who can expertly analyze the actual situation of the material world are able to raise themselves beyond the inauspicious life of gross material gratification. And then text 20, when I read this verse, it was very, very intriguing. Here Kṛṣṇa says, a jiva can be his own guru. An intelligent person, expert in perceiving the world around him and in applying sound logic, can achieve real benefit through his own intelligence. Thus, sometimes one acts as one's own instructing spiritual master. So Srila Jiva Goswami gives very, very detailed, because people can misuse this verse and say, I am my own guru. I don't need any guru. Kṛṣṇa says to Uddhava. But Srila Jiva Goswami explains that Guru Anusarane Pravartaka iti artha. The meaning of this is actually that yes, one by one's own intelligence can achieve real benefit. But what is that real benefit? If the knowledge that we acquire by one's perception, by that intelligence, we are able to appreciate the value of the association of devotees. We become our own guru by appreciating, by understanding, by our intelligence, this association of devotees is so wonderful. And therefore, I should be in this good association. And in that good association, he gets an external guru. But Jiva becomes his own guru by understanding, oh, this material world, friendship in this material world is very temporary. I should actually make friends with devotees who have no other ulterior motive. That is real intelligence. That is what Kṛṣṇa is trying to say. By one's own intelligence, one becomes one guru, instructing spiritual master so that he can go to his spiritual master, his Diksha Guru. By good association, Jiva Goswami says, one should gradually come to understand one's eternal position as servant of Kṛṣṇa, and then he wants to live in the company of other enlightened beings. So this is what he's actually saying. And then he says, in order to explain to you what it means, how a jiva can be his own guru in one sense, to find other gurus, he tells him the pastime of Brahmana Avadhuta conversing with King Yadu. So this is the verse. A jiva can become his own guru, but a jiva can become his own guru by finding out other gurus. And how Avadhuta found 24 instructing gurus by his own intelligence in that sense. But he became his own guru by finding other gurus. So then he says, King Yadu, the son of Yayati. If you remember in the 9th canto, this pastime of Yayati marrying Devyani and then having intimate relations with her maidservant Sharmishtha, and then how he was cursed to give up his young age, and then he exchanged his young age by his youngest son Puru, King Puru. King Puru, who exchanged the youth, was the son of Sharmishtha, the maid, who later became his queen. And Devyani's son, eldest son, was Yadu, from whom the Yadava dynasty came. Yayati, Yadu. But he was not the son who exchanged the youth. So he said, the son of Yayati, Maharaj Yadu, he once encountered an Avadhuta who was traveling here and there. He was in great transcendental ecstasy. He was acting so unpredictably, just like someone is haunted by a ghost. And so this King Yadu inquired from this Avadhuta. Avadhuta means exactly that one who is in great ecstasy, acts unpredictably, acts as if he's haunted by a ghost. So he said, what are you doing? King Yadu asked Avadhuta, who are you? Why are you wandering like this and in this ecstatic condition? So he said, well, because I've received instructions from 24 instructing gurus. Who are they? He said, the earth is my guru. The wind is my guru. I learn from the sky. I learn from water, fire, bumblebee, spider, insects, so many different things. 24 gurus. And then Lord Kṛṣṇa describes how the Avadhuta said what he learnt from each of his guru, which is very, very instructive. If someone is not even a devotee, just these words of wisdom of what we can learn from nature. Nature can be our Shiksha Guru. And he had 24 Shiksha Gurus. He said, from the earth, he had learned how to be sober. from the mountain and the tree. He learned how to, from the mountain he learned how to tolerate, how to serve others. From the tree, he learned how to dedicate one's whole life for the benefit of others. From the wind, he learned the internal wind and the external wind. Internal wind, he learned how to be satisfied by merely keeping oneself alive, just like the wind manifesting in the form of vital air within the body. And the external wind, he learned how to be uncontaminated by the body and the objects of the senses. The wind goes everywhere, but it doesn't get contaminated by anything. From the sky, he learned that how the soul is indivisible and imperceptible. Just like sky pervades everywhere, it cannot be cut. Similarly, the soul is everywhere. It cannot be cut. It cannot be perceived. You can't see sky, but like the ether. From water, he learned how to be naturally clear and purifying. Water, the water of Ganga, keeps moving, keeps moving. Even if there is some dirt, there is some impurity, because of the running water, it gets cleared. A running water is always clear. Stagnant water gets dirty. But if it's continuously running, it learned how to be naturally be clear and purifying. So which means if we are facing some obstacles in our life, like water, we should just continue flowing around those rocks and around those obstacles, not get still. If we get stagnant, we are done. We'll get impure. Even though we are impure, if we keep running, like the running water, we'll become clear. If we keep executing devotional service, irrespective of the situation we are in, we'll be clear. But if we get stunned and we stop ourselves from executing bhakti, hearing and chanting, then we'll become impure. From the fire, he learned how to devour all things without being impure. Fire, wherever it goes, it devours everything, but it purifies everything, doesn't get impure. How to destroy all the inauspicious desires of those who make offerings to him. Which means we make offerings to Agnidev, Agnidev gives benediction. Similarly, great saints, when we serve them, they give benedictions and purify them of the inauspicious desires. He also learned from fire how the Supreme Soul enters into every body and appears to assume the identity of each. From moon, Chandra, he learned how the various phases of the material body undergoes: birth, growth, dwindling, and then ultimately death. But they should not affect the embodied soul. The moon goes through so many phases, but the moon remains the moon. It is only his perception which has changed to different people at different times in the different time zones. From sun, he learned how to avoid entanglement, even while coming into contact with sense objects. The sun is there. If there is some dirty thing, the sun rays purify that dirty place. But the sun is not affected. Similarly, we should engage in this world, but not become contaminated by it. And then he said, from pigeon, he learned that too much affection and excessive attachment is not good for one. A pigeon, it said, they are very much attracted to sex life. Someone who's very attracted to sex life tends to become a pigeon in his next life. And therefore they can, it is said, they can have sex 40 times a day. But they become so attached, and it's not good for us. Human form of life is meant for shreyas, for developing love of God. But if one becomes attached to family life, not affectionate, but attached, then to the extent that we ignore our spiritual life, then one is compared to a person who climbs up to a high place and then jumps down again. What is the use? This ends chapter 7. We come to chapter 8, the story of Piṅgalā. So then Kṛṣṇa continues to tell the conversation between Maharaj Yadu and Avadhut Brahmana. Next, Guru, he says, Python. I learned from the python. How an intelligent person should cultivate a mentality of detachment and should maintain his body by accepting whatever comes of its own accord. The python is very detached. But whatever comes, he just devours. So in this way, we should always be engaged in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here we are seeing this is such a wonderful quality of this Avadhuta, Brahmana. He is learning from everyone and every situation. If we are in this mood, we have been sent to this material world to learn a lesson. And many lessons. If we are always in the mood of learning and never stop learning, that is spiritual person. So we should always keep learning from these situations. Never think, I know everything. What am I supposed to learn? No, from anything that happens, instead of thinking, oh, why this happened? Did this happen because Kṛṣṇa wanted this, or did this happen because I did a mistake? It is because of my foolishness, or Kṛṣṇa arranged it? It doesn't matter. What matters is what we learn from the situation. We should always be a learner. Then we can be successful. Then he said that from the python, he actually understood again that even if no food is available, we should continue to engage in the Lord's worship, and rather we should understand that this is the arrangement of providence. Whatever enjoyment was destined for me will automatically come. And I should not uselessly waste remaining duration of my life in worrying about such things. If he does not get food, he should simply remain lying like a python, and he patiently fixes his mind and meditation upon the Supreme Lord. So this is also very important, because Kṛṣṇa is saying, don't worry, right here. Whatever enjoyment is there, you will get. Whatever suffering is there, you will get. Similarly, whatever enjoyment is there, you will get. By worrying about it, your enjoyment will not increase. By worrying about it, you will not solve anything. Just wait patiently and not worry. So this is what, like a python, we should learn. Not worry, depend on Kṛṣṇa. This is what we learned from python. Then he said, I learned from the ocean. Ocean, I learned how the mind of a sage operates. Clear and grave. On top, there is a lot of turbulence, but deep down, there is calmness. In fact, many sages go deep down into the ocean to actually meditate, because there is so much calm there. So similarly, the sage does not become elated. Here, ocean, what it's saying is that ocean does not overflow during the rainy season. And during dry season, it doesn't become dry. During hot season, it doesn't become dry. Ocean remains ocean. Similarly, whether there is happiness or distress, the mind of a sage remains steady, because it is fixed in the relationship with Kṛṣṇa. Then from moth we can learn that just as the moth gets enticed by the light, and then when it enticed by the dancing flame of the fire and goes deep, directly right into it. Similarly, one who cannot control our senses of sight especially, then we go straight into destruction. Then he learned from bee. He said two kinds of bees, the bumblebee and the honeybee. From bumblebee, we learn madhukari. Just like a bumblebee goes to different flowers and take little bit, like madhukari, we do. And similarly, the saints should go everywhere, not just for food, but collect essential truth, essence from everything, essence of spirituality from everything. That is the essence of Madhukari. Not just taking food from everywhere, but learning from every situation and understanding the hand of the Lord in every situation, taking the essence of spirituality. Then, this is bumblebee, but another kind of bee is honeybee. From honeybee, one should learn that a sannyasi should not save the food that he begs just because he will have it later. Because just like the honeybee, it goes into and sucks the nectar, and some of the flowers, if the honeybee stays for too long, the flowers in the night, they close. And this honeybee stops. Honeybee is trapped. So similarly, the sannyasi should not save things. He should take and leave. Then he said, from the elephant, I learned how not to be tricked by hunters. Because male elephants, they are tricked by the hunters into moving toward female elephants who are captive. And then they fall into the hunter's ditch and they are captured. So a man who becomes attached to the form of the woman then falls down to deep well of material life, destroyed. From honey thief, he learned that just as he steals the honey collected with great effort by the honeybee, honeybee has created the honey, but the honey thief steals it. Similarly, a person in the renounced order of life, he has the privilege of enjoying before anyone else the food and other valuable things that are purchased by hard-earned money of the householders. So we should offer charity to the sannyasi. He learned from the honey thief. Then from the deer, he learned how the deer becomes confused hearing the song of the hunter's flute. And this beautiful sound, he just goes around looking for that flute, beautiful sound, and then gets caught by the hunter. So similarly, one who gets attracted by mundane music and song, they uselessly waste our life. Then from the fish, he learned that the fish, because of the sense of taste, because of the insect that's dangling on the hook, gets caught. Similarly, we should not get caught by because of the sense of enjoying the sense of taste. And then he talks about a prostitute called Piṅgalā. Piṅgalā, she was a prostitute in the city of Videha. And from her, Avadhuta learned another lesson. Look, these are all potentially negative things in the society, but Avadhuta is learning even from that situation. This is what we should learn from Avadhuta, how to learn. One day, this Piṅgalā, she dressed herself very attractive clothing and ornaments, and she was waiting from sunset until midnight for some customer. She waited in great anticipation. And then as the time passed, her mind became uneasy. But no one came to see her. And then she was disgusted. And so she finally renounced everything, gave up her hankering for the arrival of this suitor. And then she just engaged herself in thinking about the Supreme Lord, just developing a relationship with Him rather than hankering for other people. And then her mind became very peaceful. And so the instruction, the learning Avadhuta says I got from her is that hopes of sense gratification are the root cause of all suffering. Not just sense gratification is the root cause. The hope for sense gratification, the hankering, is worse. Therefore, only one who has given up such hankering can fix in the meditation of the Supreme Lord. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. One who is Brahma Bhuta, he's prasanna, he's supremely peaceful and blissful because he neither laments nor hankers. Now we come to the last final chapter of today. Chapter 9, Detachment from all that is material. Then he continues, I learned from the kurara bird that attachment creates misery. But one who is unattached, no possessions, he can achieve unlimited happiness. Then the Avadhut Brahmana said, I saw a lazy child lying by, and I learned from him that how, when we become free from the anxiety, a person becomes capable of worshipping the Lord. Then he said, there was a young girl who kept just one conch shell bracelet on each wrist. It's like shakha. In Bengal, they have the shakha, conch shell bracelet. So this girl, she kept a conch shell bracelet on each wrist. And in this way, he learned that therefore we should always remain alone and steady one's mind. Remaining alone means remaining alone within our mind in association of Kṛṣṇa. And associating with true devotees is also remaining alone, because we are not associating with anything material. Once several men arrived to ask for the hand of this young girl, whose relatives had left the house. So she went inside, she began to prepare food for the unexpected guests by beating this rice. And then her conch shell bracelets, they were making loud noise. They were rattling against each other. And in order to stop this sound, because she was, she broke off the bracelets one by one until only one remained in each arm. If there was 2 or more bracelets on each, it would make noise. So similarly, he said, even if 2 people reside in the same place, what to speak of many, there is every chance of mutual quarrel and useless gossip. So we should, from her bangles, because she didn't want her guests to be disturbed by her thrashing of rice, and because of that, the bangles clinging, she broke all the bangles until one conch shell bracelet remained in each hand. So similarly, this is what he learned. And then he said, I saw an arrow maker. He learned from the arrow maker, who was absorbed in constructing that arrow in such a way. He was so absorbed. He was sharpening the arrow, making the arrow, that he didn't even notice that a king was passing right by him on the road. Similarly, when he saw this arrow maker in so much absorption, he said, I should strictly control my mind and absorb myself in hearing and chanting the holy names like this. This is what is needed. Then he learned from the serpent that a sage should wander alone. He should not have any fixed residence, should be careful, should be grave, should not reveal his movements, should take assistance from no one, and should speak very little. Then he said, I saw a spider. He was spinning his web, and I learned from him how the spider was spinning a web from his mouth. Similarly, the Supreme Lord creates from himself the whole universe and then winds it inside himself. Then he said, there is a weak insect called Peshaskrit wasp. And Avadhut Brahmana learned that from this wasp, that under the sway of affection, hatred, fear, in the next life, we get what we are thinking about. Like the caterpillar thinking about the butterfly becomes butterfly, that kind of a thing. So we should, affection, hatred, fear, if we have, then we will attain to that. Then he said that this human form of life, very, very rare gift. We must utilize this opportunity and endeavor always for achieving the highest goal. This is what I've learned from the 24 gurus. Always keep learning. What is Kṛṣṇa trying to teach me about spiritual life? And then we can identify gurus by becoming our own guru in that sense and in the association of devotees. This ends today's discussion of the 4 chapters, and thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions or comments, we can take now. We will also announce the quiz for today's session, and Thank you, Radha Padavi Mataji, Surya A. Prabhu, Maitreyi Mataji, Janeshwar Gauranga Prabhu, thank you very much. Barsana Chitra Mataji, thank you for joining. Swati Mataji, Keshavi Mataji and Venkatapati Prabhu. Swati Jhunjhunwala Mataji again. Shamala Gopika Devi Mataji, thank you so much for joining. Ranjani Gopika Mataji, thank you for joining today. So today's questions are: which garden did the Devatas bring flower garland for Kṛṣṇa from? Second, what is the rope that drags the living entities? Third, how can the living entities get relief from such miserable situations? Fourth, what is the age of Kṛṣṇa and how was it revealed compared to what? Fifth, why did Kṛṣṇa instruct the Yadavas to retire to Prabhāsa Kshetra? Sixth, who was cursed by Prajapati Daksha and why? Seventh, what happened as a result of this curse? Eighth, what does it mean when Kṛṣṇa says a jiva can become his own guru according to Srila Jiva Goswami? Ninth, whose encounter does Kṛṣṇa relate in explaining the above point? 10th, how many Shiksha Gurus did the Brahmana have and what did he learn from the earth, sky, wind, water and the mountain? 11th, what do we learn from fire, moon, sun, pigeon and the python? 12th, what can we learn from the ocean moth, bee and the elephant? 13th, what do we learn from the deer and the fish? 14th, what do we learn from Piṅgalā? 15th, what can we learn from the Kurara birds, lazy child, young girl, arrow maker, serpent, spider, and the wasp? So these are all the questions we had. If there are any more questions or comments, we can take now. All right. If there are none, then thank you so much and let's keep learning and getting the essence of spiritual life from every situation, from every person that we meet. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.